Hey guys, Jay here, welcome to EonsOfBattle, and today I'm going to show you how I paint orc faces. In this video I'll be using Spellcrow orc faces. I don't really like a lot of the older orc faces from the Games Workshop, and so I really enjoy how Spellcrow has made them. These are the paints I'll be using. The first thing I did was I attached my orc heads to some cork just so that I can handle them throughout the video without having to actually touch the model. I used a little bit of poster tack to hold them in place. You could also pin them or use a little bit of glue. I then started the painting process by priming them with some Vallejo gray. You could also use a rattle can gray primer. Once the primer was dry, I then airbrushed them with a little bit of Games Workshop Elysian green. This is just a base coat, and you could also apply it with a brush, but I always like to use the airbrush because it gives me a thinner coat. I then used a little bit of Citadel Bugman's Glow, and I used this to base coat the mouth of the orcs. I painted the inside of both the mouths, and I got a little bit of it on the lips because I'm going to be blending the color out into the face. I did the same thing to the closed orc head, just painting around the gums and around the lips. Then I went on to add Games Workshop Bealtan Green wash to the whole model. This is going to help bring out all of the crevices and the shadows. If you want a darker skin, you could also add multiple coats, allowing them to dry in between, depending on how dark you want the skin to be. Once that was dry, I then picked out the teeth with some Games Workshop Ceramite White. Then, to dirty up the teeth and to add some depth to the mouth, I then washed it with Urgrak's Earthshade, making sure to keep the wash inside of the mouth and away from the green. Once my washes were dry, I began highlighting. I made a 50-50 mix of some Vallejo airbrush paint thinner, and I went back to my base color Elysian green. The 50-50 mix is going to help me be able to layer up with a nice blend. And I like to use airbrush thinner because it keeps the paint from getting watery, and it just kind of has a different feel than when you thin with water. Because I'm working with such a thin mixture, I ended up having to do probably 2 or 3 highlight coats. But I think it's worth it because as you're painting, you're also blending the colors in. And each layer isn't adding too much paint so that it becomes unnatural or too bright. I made sure to hit all of the raised edges, particularly the forehead, the eyebrows, the top of the head, and the upper lip. And basically, I'm just highlighting until I've brought these areas back up to the original Elysian green. I did the same highlighting to the head that had the hat on, making sure to hit the higher areas that the sun would be hitting on the model. On this model, particularly the upper lips, the ears, and the chin. Now that my initial highlighting is done, I went in with a lighter shade, Citadel Ogre and Camo, and I did again a 50-50 mixture of Vallejo airbrush thinner and the Citadel layer, and I'm just going ahead and doing another highlighting, hitting all of the same spots that I hit before. This is going to help brighten the model up even further. Make sure to only hit the raised portions of the model so that you don't end up having the model looking flat. I did the same Ogre and Camo highlight on the closed mouth orc head. After I was finished with that secondary highlight, I then went back in with some Bugman's Glow, watered down to about 50-50 with the airbrush thinner, and then I brought out the lips. I just added coats until I had the pink of the Bugman's Glow blended into the green. I also painted a little bit of this watered down Bugman's Glow into the ears of the orcs. I then began painting the orc's hat. I started with a base of Citadel Rhinox hide. This was just a heavy coat to make sure that I cut through the green. And then once that was dry, I highlighted that coat with a little bit of Mornfang Brown. Then I used some Tau XV88 to paint the strap of his goggles and to further highlight the brown of the hat. I painted the frames of his goggles with a little bit of lead belcher. And then I painted the lenses of the goggles with a little bit of Games Workshop Lowthorn Blue. After that, I washed his hat with a little bit of Games Workshop Airgrax Earthshade, and then the model was complete. This way to paint orc heads is a little bit more time consuming, but I feel like it gives a really nice effect, and it adds a lot of character to the orcs' faces. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, you can leave a comment if you have any ideas or techniques you'd like to see us do. You can follow us at Facebook at EOBFans, and you can follow us on Twitter at EonsOfBattle. Thanks for watching.